Alright, it's July the 9th, and I thought I'd show you my garden and what's growing. Out here at the end where I had sweet corn, I've tilled it under, and I'm going to plant something else there. I think I'm going to try some more sweet corn to see if I have time to get it in before the weather turns cold. I'm out here picking green beans this morning. I only have this little short row from here to here with green beans ready, but a couple of weeks ago I got two, or about 1.5 5-gallon buckets full. I expect to get that again. Look under here. They're looking pretty rough because it's getting kind of late in the season for them, but look under here, you can see plenty of beans. Plenty to pick when those are done. I should have this other row right here, which goes all the way to the end, starting to produce. It's I see blooms all over it now. I don't know if I see any beans on it yet or not, but shouldn't be too long. My squash and zucchinis kind of mixed in together here in this row, and it's all looking pretty rough. And I've had a few days where I've not gotten out here and picked squash, so there's some that's way too big and needs to be picked. Like these, they're giant. It only takes a couple days for them to get that big too. So same thing with zucchini. Although there's a real small tender one right there. May eat that one today. So squash and zucchini plants are starting to look pretty rough, but still producing. So we'll leave them alone. Got little cantaloupes all over the place. Not very big, but they're kind of scattered all in there. They're hard to see unless you just get up close, but they're all over. And more coming, like here. So we've got just lots and lots of blooms on the cantaloupe. That last row over there, I replanted some sweet corn. That's where I had corn out at the end and had onions and garlic down at the rest of it. Let's see, watermelons are growing. There's one there in the middle. I don't know if you can see the one out there. They're kind of all in there. They're pretty easy to spot. Let's see if I look right over here, you can see some. It's amazing how they don't show up on the camera, but they do show up if I look at them. But there's a couple. If you look out, there's, I guess what would be right in the middle of the screen, there's some sugar babies, which are the small watermelons that are dark green, and then they go all the way down. Should be probably gonna pick one of those today. We had one the other, I don't know, less than a week ago, and it was almost perfect, but it wasn't quite there just yet. This is my little short row of okra. We don't eat a lot of okra, and this little short row should give more than we need. Just now starting to bloom. So hopefully in a couple weeks we'll have some okra at the very latest. While I'm walking by, there's some more of the watermelons. You can see there's little tiny ones all the way up to some fairly big ones. And there's Oliver. He is doing a pretty good job of catching mice. Tomatoes. In fact, I hear my girls coming. They're going to pick tomatoes for us. Can't really see the fruit from here, but there's plenty of it in there. Those vines are well over 6 feet tall, and kind of falling over, kind of growing everywhere. The heat and the dry is starting to take a toll on them, but there's still lots of fruit on them. This is honeydew right here that I'm trying to wade through. And there's, I don't know if you can see him, but there's Oliver again. This is thick. I don't see any honeydew melons growing yet, but lots of blooms. Oh, right here next to the honeydew is cucumbers, and I Oh my goodness, that one's probably too big. There are cucumbers in here. I'm gonna get in here and try to get some of these out to eat fresh. We've not been home for a few days, and the cucumbers all got big while we were gone. But fresh cucumbers. Out there at the end, you can see that's some bottle gourds. No fruit yet, but plenty of blooms. These are some peas that are starting to grow up. I have to be kind of careful where I walk here. So my girls are picking tomatoes, but I don't know if any of them are making them into the bowl. Got some pink eye purple hull peas here that are getting close. Look at there. I've got this piece of this row that I planted early, and then I've got two more rows that are really close together right here that I planted much later, and they're just now starting to bloom. My potatoes are didn't really do all that well this year. They're not wilting and falling over yet, so I'm not going to dig them up yet, although it's getting very hot out. Sweet potatoes right here. I did just a real small area of sweet potatoes. And out here, all these vines that look like they're taking over half the garden and starting to yellow, those are all butternut squash. And I don't know that they show up very well, but there are plenty of butternut squash under there. That was all green and kind of, you couldn't see the ground or the weeds anywhere, but they're starting to wilt and yellow. And some butternut squash. These actually look kind of small on this end for whatever reason. I think these came along much later than the ones, although I can see a really big one. I don't know if it's going to show up. There's a really big one right there. Some more butternut squash. That's a pretty big one there. That's way over a foot long. These are my peppers. Ghost peppers, if anybody wants ghost peppers and you're in the West Georgia area, would love for you to have some. Because I need about 3 pods a year is all that I need. That's what these are. None of them ripe yet, but lots of peppers on the plants. These are my ornamental peppers that we grow every year. They taste good. They're hot. But they're kind of a pain. They're small enough they're a pain to deal with if you want to pickle them or anything. But they taste good and they're hot. These are my accidental hybrid jalapenos. A cross between jalapenos over there and the ornamental peppers over there. The jalapenos look like jalapenos, taste like jalapenos, except for they're like a dark purple or black. And they're just a little bit warmer than normal. And the plants are neat because they grow some peppers hanging down and some peppers pointing straight up. There's some tomatoes Kendall has picked. Good job, Kendall.
I got 3 big tomatoes.
And a bell pepper.
Like seriously big ones.
Good job, Kayla.
Do I have to keep on picking?
we've already put up a bunch of jalapenos this year, and I don't know that I want to mess with putting up any more, but the plants are ready to pick again. One plant is normally enough for us, and of course 6 is way more than we need, but it was nice to get them early on and get them done. Bell peppers, which I've never had great luck with. There are a lot of them on the plants. They're not, well, there's a big one. That one's pretty big. These are supposed to, when they get ripe, turn red and yellow and stuff. I've not seen any change colors yet. They're all green, except for this plant that just grows them yellow from the time they're small all the way up to the time they're big. I don't know if that one was a different kind of seed or what, mixed in with the seeds that I planted. But the bell peppers are, at least there's some peppers on them this year, which is better than I normally get. And if I step back and show you my garden, sunflowers on the left, just a few there, and then some sweet corn. Part of that is candy, and you know, toward this end, and then out at the other end is Silver Queen. I don't know that the Silver Queen will have time to make before the cold weather gets here. We've already had sweet corn, and it's all already stopped and put it up and plowed it under, so I'm going to plant some more Candy King, which is a real short season corn. Anyway, there's the garden right now. Almost didn't leave enough room between the rows, which you would think 5-foot rows would be enough, but there's room to walk here, but that's about the only place in the garden where you don't step on something. That's the garden today.